Let's do it. We're live. Good morning.
Good
Is just
morning.
it looks like it's just you and I this morning, and it's okay.
It's all right. We're okay with that.
It's okay.
Yeah,
We're
we're okay
okay
with
with
that.
that.
We'll let the show keep
Um,
going. That's it. The show can't be
y-
stopped.
yeah. I'm just gonna say hello to everybody that may want to jump in.
Yes.
No, and that's it. So today, let me make sure I got my slides, my right slide to start.
You know what, Gigi?
Little
If
shindig.
if time
Yes.
permits, Gigi, if time permits, since we have an
Yeah.
extra, spot there, maybe one of our guests may want to jump on real quick if they know about buyers.
Sure.
So
We could do that.
why not? Let's invite them in.
Yes. Let's invite people in. I don't know who's in right now.
It's okay. But we'll invite them in.
Yeah, but
But
it's
good
okay.
morning, everyone. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. Today, we're actually going to be talking about working with buyers.
Yes.
Something where I actually have not an S on my chest, but a B on my chest for working with buyers.
Yeah.
So it's really it's a completely different world when working with buyers and working with listing agents. And really, it's a point of not only emotions and psychological and those other stuff, but you certainly have certain steps. We all go through different steps of having to deal with buyers. And today we're going to go through those steps in order for you to be
Mhm.
successful when dealing with one.
Yes.
All right.
And I will rely a lot on Israel because I'm not saying I'm a terrible buyer's agent, but I don't do it that much because specializing in listing. This year I have to admit I just worked with one buyer, and they were people that I've known for over a year, and we had stopped our search, and then we were able to find something off market, which was we were really grateful for that. Um, but it's not like I'm not doing it on a regular basis. I get buyers when they come to our listing, so I will probably rely a lot on Israel, especially for like dealing like the core of it, the objections, the little intricate parts that we may have to deal with. So let's start. We have our little working with buyer slides, which you guys all seen. One big thing is setting your standards for working with a buyer. Who
Right.
do you want to work with? How do you want to work that? Maybe we should. I think it's important. Yeah.
Let me add on to that real quick. As our global coach, Sekou Pyle says, right? I work with the most motivated sellers and buyers. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I work with a person who's really motivated to, get their paperwork ready to find the home that they're looking for, not the fantasy home, the let me buy a mansion next to a train station. That's not going to happen in most cases. Right. So really, I work with the most motivated buyers and sellers and then go from there. However, I think that when we were setting this up, one of the things I said is that if you're a new agent, you try to grab as many buyers as possible before creating a standard for yourself. Because if you start doing minimum standards, you're not going to be as successful as you think you would be, right? You should have at least in the course of a day, 5 people who are ready to go and buy in today's market.
Right.
The
Right now in this market.
Right now.
Yeah, because I know it's all nice to say, let's have some standard and just wait for people that have all the the eggs in order. And I don't even, that's not even an English term, but it's fine.
It's okay. I get where you're going with that. It's okay.
and and that are the money's in the bank, everything is ready, and they're going to make an offer the first house they seen. It's not reality. So as a new agent, it's tough because you're very grateful that you're getting somebody even remotely interested in buying, correct?
Right.
So I think you need to be able to pile up some buyers, experience the buying process, and then once you have enough deals in your pipeline, because that's what we're trying to accomplish, and you go growing pains, you can set those standards for yourself. That will allow you to be more in charge, right? And basically be more efficient And in turns, we're in this business for money, right? We're not doing it for charity and just take people around. That would be nice if we were just get paid for that. But we're in there to make some money, to make a living. So working with buyers has to be profitable, right? So that's why you would establish those standards. I wanted to just go about what are standards. It's a set of rules or guidelines for ensuring uniformity, processes, and quality. And people are calling me and they don't understand that I'm not.
Well, Ed is saying that he's in right now. So
yes, let me go see.
Let's give him the golden ticket to come in.
Yeah, well, it's punished. He's punished right now. He is punished. Yes, Ed, I'm going to bring you in. I'm going to punish him a little bit. You're punished, Ed.
Make sure you have the whole pass with you.
Listen, man, come on, guys. Happy Friday. I know it's been a long time. I'm so sorry. I'm actually at an inspection right now in LIC. That's the reason why I'm not on, and I do apologize. But I'm here. Yeah. I'm connected. How are you guys doing?
We're good. We're good.
Good. We're actually going over the standards of having to have a buyer right now.
Mm-hmm.
And Gigi pretty much just gave us a great definition of what standards would be, what somebody should look for when creating a standards of having to either deal even with a seller or a buyer. We should always have the rules. We should always have a certain way of wanting to deal with either a buyer or seller. And in this case, having to work with a buyer.
Right.
Okay.
So let's talk about what are your standards, Israel, and then we'll share what are your standards, Ed, quickly, because we don't want to spend half an hour just on this. You take who's saying like being ready for buyer that are ready to buy now, like this minute, with very high level of motivation, correct?
Correct. So again, it goes back to having to deal with the most motivated buyers and sellers, right? So the person who understands and gets the realness of buying a home, right? Pretty much who is all document, in the sense of having all their documents in a row, ready to buy, have their pre-approvals correctly. And, I actually, when I'm speaking to qualifying buyers, when I qualify my buyers, I make sure that they actually go through one of the listing agent. Not listing agent, one of the mortgage folks that I actually work with, in order to get them, qualified correctly. And once that happens, then I start working with them.
Is that a prerequisite that they have to be qualified with your preferred lender?
It is one of my pre-qualifieds, yes.
What about you, Ed? What do you do?
So my biggest thing is to try to help them understand, right? There's trust factors, right? People are calling, people want to speak to an agent, people want to purchase a home or sell a home, but they don't know if they can trust the other person on the other line. So what I try to do is just, inform them, right? You got to inform them, you got to teach them, you got to educate them. So there are steps to take. The reason why we take these steps is to prevent us from tripping up if we get to the part that we fall in love with the house, if we get to the part where we want to submit an offer. We have to make sure you qualify. You might feel like you qualify, but the banks might feel different. And we need to make sure.
Right. Okay. All right. That is a fair one.
Just to answer, Gigi, I don't think I answered it, but just to answer it, does it have to be through one of my preferred lenders? Not necessarily. If they have a bank that they trust, that they're more comfortable with, it's easier for me to build rapport and a relationship with that lender. Why? That lender might want to develop more business. They might want to connect with new realtors. So he or she might be more open to talking to me about that. They might not disclose all their financials, but it's easier for me to call a lender and say, hey, does this person qualify? Have you vetted them? Have you taken them through the process of checking their financials, their credit, all that good stuff? And if they confirm it, then great. I'm going to take it and I'm going to work with them on it. They don't have to necessarily be my lenders.
Okay. And then I think also making sure that you're going to be working with every single party involved in that transaction. Like if you're going to have children that, like young people that are going to buy as first-time home buyers, and then you start working with them, you think they're ready, and all of a sudden it's like, whoop, but my father has to come in right now.
Right,
Gonna
right.
give us most of the down payment. So I think you need to make sure that all the decision makers are also involved with you and they get to
Correct.
know you and work with you, correct?
100%.
Right.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's
And also setting standards, that would also mean making sure the buyers are realistic in their expectations, especially in this market that we have right now, where you have pockets that are very strong sellers markets and other pockets that are still really, really big buyers markets, like for co-ops and condos in certain parts of our area, right? And I don't want to talk in general for area, but you have to be setting some expectations right there, right?
of course, from the beginning. I mean, you're gonna have to let them know what kind of market this is. Let them know when it comes to an offer, when it comes to finding a home. Setting the kind of standards by where you have to let them know that you're gonna go through this kind of competition in order to get your offer.
Yeah.
accepted
I don't
right
like
away.
that. No, I like that. Yes. This one is, oh, that's a big one. Okay, we can't meet with people obviously in person, right? So do you do a lot of remote Zoom consultations? Do you have an actual buyer's consultation?
I do. I have a
Yeah.
buyer. It doesn't have to be Zoom all the time. It could be over the phone.
Yeah.
So my buyer's consultation, it all depends on the questions I ask, which are the normal questions. What are they looking for? Where are they looking for? How much are they thinking about spending? Have they been pre-approved? Who are the decision makers? What happens if we actually go to the home, and you really love the unit? What's going to stop you from actually making that offer?
Right.
Things like that. I mean, there are several questions I ask. This, pretty much was a real quick way of asking these questions. But I try to get as much information as, to see, because really at the end of the day, you really want to see if it makes sense that you and that buyer can work together. Does it make sense for us to work together? Do we mesh well in the sense of able to find our next home?
So it's like dating, basically.
That's the short way of putting it.
And what do you do? Do you have this actual consultation before you take buyers out? Because I know there are different school of thoughts. I didn't mind in the past taking buyers out. We have a quick conversation. It's like, you don't have too many buyers in your pipeline, and the first couple of minutes of conversation, it seems like they're ready, and then we say, yeah, let's go, let's book some appointments. I'm going to send you some listings and pam, and not necessarily have this big full conversation. I would want to meet them and feel them a little bit and get to know them better and establish that little bond.
It's all based on relationship. You want to build as much relationship with them, because that's really not only the connection, but more of the relationship in order to build more out of them.
I wanted to hear about Ed's opinion on this one. Do you have to have that big buyer's consultation?
Do I have one more time? Repeat it.
Do you have to have that big conversation, that big buyer's consultation, or are you a little bit more flexible and have a quick conversation, get the feel of the qualification, and just take them out?
What I'll say is there's kind of a mixture of it. The reason behind it is because of the fact that, again, you have to build a relationship with people. So if they trust you, they're going to be open and willing. But if they don't trust you, it's going to take time. I like to give them the opportunity. What's that? Hey, look, I know we normally like to meet in person usually, but because of the pandemic, I do a lot of meetings via Zoom. This will save you time. This will save me time. If that works for you, we can take that route. If you prefer to meet in person, that's fine. We have remote locations, right? I know some of you guys aren't a part of the same brokerage as we are, but thankfully, because of our brokerage and because we're cloud-based, we actually have remote locations and partnerships with Regus offices. So we are able to meet at a Regus office, for example, and sit down with these clients and do it face-to-face, right? So sometimes people prefer that. Sometimes
Okay.
people want to meet with you face to face, and good thing we're in a position to do that. So I put it out there. If you want to meet with me face to face, I'll be more than happy to do that. I'll set some time aside and we can do it in person. I have remote locations that are COVID friendly. If not,
Got it.
we can
Got
do
it,
it through
Ed.
Zoom.
Yes, we got it. Next, big questions. Do you only work with exclusive buyers agreement?
Not always.
Ed.
Not always. I try to promote it as best
Right.
as I can.
Okay.
You know what I mean? I try to promote it because there's a lot of protection behind that. You sign
Right.
a contract, you are also at risk. You know, you're liable for the things that you're saying, for the work that you're doing. So, yeah, if you're gonna promote it, you got to take it a step further. If not,
Right.
you know, don't put it to
And
the plate.
because, yeah, you both
So,
are
Anna,
yeah. So sorry, go ahead, finish up.
I was just going to say, just to add on to that, when it comes to, I mean, I think we all know certain agents out there in the sense that they actually will have that minimum standards that you need to be exclusive with them,
Mhm.
right? There are agents that we know that would do that, and that's because they have an abundance amount of buyers out there. So as an agent, if you don't have an abundance amount of buyers and you do promote or you do explain about I call it the BBA, which is Buyers Brokers Agreement. If you do go out there and explain that to them and, and the buyers are not willing to sign it, then fine. It's okay. Just, work with them. Sooner or later, you'll find a buyer who will see the value of you having to do that. So
no problem. I lost my train of thoughts, but it's it's good. Anyways, you probably answered, part of it. It's good. It's going to come back to me. And
I'm sure. So what's the next slide? I know we have something else besides
we have
standard.
something. No, we're not sliding anymore. Hold on. I will.
We're not sliding anymore.
No.
Not doing the electric slide?
Let's go to the next one. What about, so we set up some standards. We understand that.
We got it ready to go.
Now we have a buyer plan of action.
Ooh, that's good.
Yes.
Ooh, that sounds like a big word, but I think you need to have some sort of plan. You can just go blind and say, okay, let's just go and stuff. Let's look at 2 million properties.
A lot of buyers believe that is the plan of action. The plan of action is, oh my God, I believe I can afford this. This place is available. Right. They have an open house. Let's go see it. Hey, are you prepared? Have you taken the necessary steps? No, absolutely not. I know my credit is good. My income is good. I have money. Let's go see it. That's really not a plan of action. That's what I would call waste time.
So you can, that's actually, when you do this consultation, that's a good time to unveil that plan of action, I believe. Just like when you do a listing presentation, that's going to be your marketing plan. So you're going to have a marketing plan for buyers, right? You're going to say, okay, we're interviewing you so we know your financials, financial qualifications. We're going to know about your needs for the home, your wants, and your timeline, right? And then we establish, and correct me if I'm wrong, establish that me, the agents, I'm going to assist you into finding that, that right home, of course. And we also assist you in finding the right financing for you. And I'm going to do, like you're doing right now, Ed, I'm going to be there for the home inspections and the appraisals and all the process for that transaction to be successful. And I will be assisting in that matter, right?
Yes.
Yes. And what else? And
so pretty much plan of action is, I mean, I agree with everything you just said, which pretty much is a strategy fest. It's really what you're strategizing to find that home for that person. And some folks, honestly, they once you establish the kind of home they're looking for, whether it's a co-op, condos, or home, I actually, what I do is I send them a list of homes.
Right.
Could be up to 20 homes, a list of homes, and ask them to actually put the ones that they like the most on the top, all the way down to the least. And then from those ones you like the most, the top 3 or 4, because the third one of those can be an accepted offer. Top 3 or 4, let me know which of those you want to go see. And then from there, we go see the homes. So then this is why we can, you get to have them be part of the process. and at the same time, they can actually see what kind of how their market is doing for the
Right.
kind of homes that they're looking for.
Right. So I worked also a little bit. I mean, the plan of action I had 2 years ago, because I really don't work with buyers that much. The buyer that was actually a seller, and he was a repeat. He was a repeat offender. No, he was a repeat client.
Offender. Hold on a second. We need to define that. How do you define that? What is a repeat offender? What is a
It's
repeat
somebody I've been
buyer
working with
offender?
several times. But once we narrow down on everything, like the area they wanted, the school district, the type of home, the budget, everything, and like the level of renovations in the house and all this, actually there wasn't that much to go around at the time. And I quickly run some comps per house and saying, here, those 3 houses are similar. And a lot of the times the comps would be redundant, but I would give them like a little market analysis and say, here, I believe when we see this house, we should offer between that price and that price. And we looked at a total of 4 homes, and we did 3 offers that were accepted. We had 3 inspections.
Right.
They liked those 3 homes, and they wanted to make sure one of them had asbestos galore. It was the asbestos festival, and they didn't want to do that work. The second one had way too much big renovations, like the roof, the big stuff. Everything was cosmetically done, but the main things were not done. You still had oil tank in the ground. You still had like a whole bunch of stuff. So they spent a little bit of money on inspection, but in the end, they got the house they wanted at the price we had defined, and that worked.
Right.
But to each their own, right? To each their own.
I think just so you guys know, I feel like when you're working with a buyer, if you're like joining real estate or you're doing it entry level and you're kind of getting into the groove, buyers are going to teach you how to work with clients. I know they can be a handful. I know sometimes we can get stressed out about some of the steps that they swear to God it's the right step to take because so-and-so told them. But what that'll do is prepare you moving forward so that when you get to the point that you become a listing agent, you now know how to work around that person and try to cater to their liking. So it's a good experience. It's a good way to learn the tricks of the trade. But, they can be a handful. They need some time.
Right. We should probably share that buyer's plan of action in comments when we're going to be done with with this little training, because I think there is about 20 steps if you wanted to follow them right. And you can also, that would be good for a good agent to actually understand what you're going to be doing, right?
It all depends on the product versus house, condos, versus co-ops, right? Because co-ops have an extra 2 or 3 steps in there somewhere where, co-ops and condos, look at it, he's doing an inspection. Houses, you need an inspection, So not that you don't need one for co-ops, but the point is that there's just so many extra steps that you need for co-ops that, I think having that plan of action of knowing the 25 steps of having to buy a home is really important to know.
Right. Well, we can share the 20 steps that are actually within the Mike Ferry training, which a lot of us use, and then a lot of the other trainers are basically an extension of that train of thoughts, that school of teaching real estate. So I will, when I have more time, I'll put it in the comments. It's going to look much nicer. Next, let's work with our next slide, I think, that's the big one.
Generating leads.
So, Israel, you said it best. There is 3 ways you can generate leads. You want to go for it?
Yeah, I'll just do it quickly. So there are 3 ways of getting leads. So you can either buy them, you can either wait for them, or you can go right after them. Just go get them yourself. And that's pretty much a free way of doing it as well. So buying them actually has to do with a lot of the lead generation companies that are out there, like your UpNest, like your Zillows, like your OpCity, so on and so forth.
Mhm.
Those are your different ways of actually buying them. Okay, you can also buy them by using your Facebook ads. Again, buying them. You're paying for the leads that you're actually getting for them. Now, when those are pretty effective, they're really quick. You're getting a lot of people in. I've actually done it in our company. We have what we boost properties. I've done it, and I've gotten over 150 leads out of that. So
Oh wow. Nice.
it's to the point. Again, you pay for it, and you should. Now I say this correctly, get something out of that, right? So you should at least get a couple of percentages out of those amount of people that you get out of generating those leads. Now, waiting for it, I certainly consider that in a small way of like a snail mail, flyers, having to give out cards, or talking to a friend or a family member and waiting for someone to say, hey, I know someone who actually is a realtor. That's Ed, that's Israel, that's Gigi, right? That's waiting for it. Or another way is also, waiting by the phone, waiting by the computer, just waiting for someone to actually come to you, right? And say, I know a realtor, right? Or I need a realtor, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
The last but not least is going after it. Now, going after it also is a great way of doing it is, if you're working with one right now, just let people know that you're working, in a sense, don't be that secret agent. Be out there in the world and let people know that you're an actual agent who's really looking to sell and buy homes with you. Going out there and really doing open houses. When you do your open houses, you do different things. When you're passing out cards, and now in today's market, I mean, some people don't pass out cards; they just pass out their little QR codes or whatever. There's different ways of doing so. So going after it is taking a drive portion of yourself and going after that buyer, going after the people that you're looking for. Keep calling. Calling is a great way to actually say going after. You're calling your friends, your family, your SOIs to let them know, hey, listen, I'm out here helping out. I'm going to be helping out over 75 families this year, and I'm looking to see that I can help out every single family as possible. So who do you know that I can help out today and tomorrow?
Right.
Boom. Right.
Wow. So I put in the comments that kind of action, it did not translate very well.
I see that.
I will have to delete it and put it back in a different format.
It's okay.
Maybe we should just put it in like the chat. Put it in like the Facebook chat or something,
We'll put it as a document. We'll upload it as a file because
there you go. Or just a screenshot and just put it in.
It's okay, guys. It's okay. What about you, Ed? We haven't heard from you.
So as far as generating the leads, I mean, Israel, I like that, man. You can either wait for it. What was it? You can wait for it, you can go after it, or you can pay for it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Pay for it, wait for it, or go after it, right? So it's true. Look, you're in business for yourself, right? You have to invest in your own business. You have to invest in what you're doing. So if you are a business owner, you're going to generate these leads. Understand, if you pay for them, you're going to get them. The companies are going to deliver what they say they're going to deliver. The key is you have to convert it. You have to turn that into something. And sometimes that something can be the next 30 days, right? Like, I know, Israel, you mentioned it, like Sekou mentions it also. Hey, I want to work with somebody who's looking to buy right away the next 30 days. I'm looking to work with somebody who's looking to sell in the next 30 days. Does that mean everyone is going to do that? No. Some of them might look to buy 6 to 12 months from now. Yep. Some of them have no idea, and that's the reason why they're looking 6 to 12 months from now, because of the fact that they want to make sure that they're taking the necessary steps and actions. You know what I mean? So when it comes down to it, if you're going to invest, go with it knowing that you're trying to sow seeds. You're trying to put your information out there. You're trying to expand your reach and try to get new customers, new clientele. If you get that lead, you got to execute the plan. You got to reach out to them. You got to follow up, right? Free leads, you can go ahead and promote it on Craigslist. You can even go ahead and try to get in contact with some of your closest friends and family members and try to see who they might know that might be looking at purchase or so. Go ahead, Gigi.
I want to add, for new agents, you guys could actually run open houses for other listing agents.
You could,
get leads, get the buyers from that, right?
yeah.
And I think that's a great way
So-
of learning the business, right? And
I think so
get
too. The only thing I will add to that is, again, I mean, give and take. Some agents are up for it. Some top producing agents are okay for it. And some brokerages, they're kind of going to hold it to themselves, you know. But as an
We
agent,
do.
you should
We do.
try. Yeah, you should
Let's
try
talk
to
about what
look
we
for.
do.
Yeah. So, I mean, with that being said, you should try to look for a team that's going to help you do that. As a new agent,
Yeah.
I know it's the hardest thing to sell yourself, right? Like the biggest questions. How long you been in real estate? What did your broker tell you how to respond? Well, my office had 112 closings last week. You know what I mean? And it's like, that's kind of what we have to go off in the beginning. How cool would it be that now as a team, your entire office, they get a new listing, you now have access to promote that, cross promote it, get it out there. The people seeing it might not know that it is or isn't your listing, but the fact that you're now putting it out there gets attention and people are curious. People want to know. There's people out there that are interested. You know, so I'm glad you
Yeah,
brought that up,
I-
Gigi, as far as the open house.
I actually, it's not an idea. I sort of wanted to throw that out because into this conversation, because next week we're going to actually discuss doing like the art of running an open house, prepping for it, doing the open house, doing the follow-up, and then we'll do another segment of training on following up effectively, how to do it and when to do it. And actually, because Reno, lately it looks like I'm gonna go off this tangent a little bit. It looks like the only way to grab someone's attention in today's market, in this era of technology and information where we have so much coming at us, I heard yesterday from someone that it would take about 18 touches before someone actually can recognize you. So just following up a couple of times won't work. You would need to do a whole bunch of different stuff.
I'm actually surprised you just said that because we were just going over this and coming to capping against Sekou and everything. And there's this thing that we're doing is 332211. Right? Touching base with them 3 times a day. Call, text, email 3 times a day. And if you think about it, do it 333. That's 9 times already. Twice a day the next time around, right? So next 2-3 days is pretty much you do it twice, and then the following after that, you actually just do it once. So by time, if you look at it from Monday to Saturday, you've actually had tried to touch base with this person at least 40 times. And that's call, text, email.
Right.
Right. So if you follow the call, text, email format, you actually should be able to reach out to that person every single time. So
yeah, you're right. So, and then we're going to have, we're doing this open house training because we will have like what we're going to call open house extravaganza in April. I forgot. But we're going to talk about it again.
We should create a hashtag for that, and we should open it up to anybody who is tuning in. If they're part of real estate, whether they're within our brokerage or not within our brokerage, they could definitely hashtag it, man. It'd be something nice that we can share as a community.
Absolutely.
Do you guys remember this guy, Jimmy Puckpad?
Oh my God.
Oh, Jimmy Puckpad. Oh my God.
Jimmy Puck. All right, so if you guys aren't familiar with Jimmy, let me tell you a little story about Jimmy, okay? Jimmy was somebody who was a realtor, got his license, right? The reason why that idea popped into his mind was because of the fact that he was sitting down one night watching HGTV, the pandemic struck, and Jimmy Puckpad is like, you know what? These guys are killing it in real estate. I want to join real estate too, So bam, he gets into real estate. But what happens? With the employee mindset, Jimmy is now a realtor sitting by the phone, waiting for the call.
Waiting. He dried up a little bit. It's not good.
Exactly. So what happened to Jimmy? Mr. Puckpad, he dried up next to the phone. No one was calling.
Oh, by the way, Puckpad is what you call that, a acronym?
Acronym?
Or, yes.
Yeah.
For pick up the phone and dial. That's what it is, right? So definitely, you guys, meaning you have to take charge. You have to take some actions. You can't wait for your team leader, for your office to feed you leads. You're really starved to death,
100%.
right?
Well, it goes
So
back
that-
to exactly that last point. So, in other words, Mr. Putpat here is waiting for it, right? He's waiting for somebody to call him. Where you need to pick up the phone and you're going after it. So there's your difference there.
Yeah,
You know,
definitely.
Now, for some of you guys, for example, for us in the state of New York, we do have a state of emergency that we cannot call or disturb. But understand that if you are working with someone who is either a seller or a buyer, you are working with somebody who's looking for that type of property. So if that is the case, if you're reaching out, you have to reach out with intent, right? You have to reach out saying, hey, you know what? I have a buyer I'm working with who's interested in this area. They're looking for a single family house like yours. They've been pre-approved. They've been pre-approved for X amount. This is usually what the budget is, or what a lot of homes in this area is selling for. Would you be open-minded into selling your home? You know,
Right.
or if it's
You can only-
yeah. So you can't just go after them and say, hey, I saw that you were thinking about selling your home and your home expired. So, you know, when do you plan on hiring the right agent? You could get in trouble.
So
Yes.
that's such an agreeable thing. So think of it this way: you have a buyer's market, seller's market, you know, multiple offers here and there. That's a great way to actually circle prospect in a way, because we're not allowed to circle prospect at this point. But circle prospect in a way and say to sellers, hey, listen, we just lost out on so many multiple offer deals. I have a buyer who's ready to move forward. You know, how open are you, or what number will work for you to actually, you know, think about selling your home?
Granted, you have a actual buyer.
Correct. At that time, you already have an actual buyer.
You have an identifiable buyer.
Identifiable buyer, because if it's just Mr. Putpat, it's not going to work.
If it's Mr. Putpat with a microscope in front of him, not going to happen. Mr. Putpat's not only going to end up dried up next to the cell phone, but he might end up in prison next to the cell. No, I'm kidding.
No, I don't know if you're going to end up in prison, but you're going to have a very hefty fine.
Yeah, you have a nice little decent find.
And then the money you could have, the money you're paying in fines, you could have used that to generate leads. Come on, you got to be smart about the funds that we're using here.
So, yeah, we didn't want to keep this training like super long. And that's also like the last part of our little training session would be how to be ready to handle the main buyer's objections. We have done in the past buyer's objections. You guys can go back to that. But there is always some reoccurring small objections that people would basically we would voice out and express, and let's see what is the main objection you guys have when you deal with those buyers.
Well, so here's what I would say, kind of tying into what we were just discussing, right? For example, you're calling leads, you have an identifiable buyer, and you're trying to find out if you can find them a home in that same area that's similar to what they were interested in, right? Again, we're independent contractors. So what does that mean? The same way a seller can hire you to help them sell their home is the same way a buyer can hire you to help them find the right home. So as far as the objections go, I mean, if you're trying to promote that, a lot of the objections that you're going to see is, what do you mean I have to pay you a commission? Or you're going to say, well, why do I have to sign with you exclusively if I can just work with anybody, right? So how do you react?
That's like a little bit far down into the process when you're asking for the exclusive buyer agreement, but I don't think you're going to get that from the get-go. You can't have that conversation.
Right. So
yeah,
so
that's not the first conversation I have.
Yeah. You do?
But in the process of
Got it.
Well, just to finish off, in the process of going through that, yeah, I mean, I just figured I'd bring it back up because we were discussing it. But I mean, some of the objections that we get with that is, you know, again, why do I have to hire you as an agent? I mean, I don't know how you guys would respond to that. If a buyer came in, you had a buyer's consultation, let's just say everything made sense. How would you respond to the buyer saying, why should I hire you as a buyer's exclusive agent?
Can I answer that quickly? I mean, if you really understand, I didn't take the CBR like you guys, because you guys, that's what I wanted to ask you. You both guys are CBR certified, right?
Yes, we are. Yes.
and I'm not. But if you really understand this buyer exclusive agreement, our work as an agent would be to actually, even when we work with an exclusive buyer, would be to get the commission from the seller, and you can structure your offer that is attractive enough to still get the commission from the seller and not necessarily have to get it from the buyer. Yes, in the end, the buyer is the one who's going to buy the house and pay pretty much for everything. But right. If you structure it well, it doesn't have to be this way. So you do everything in your power to get your commission from this, the way you're going to structure your offer. And you can discuss that. And it's actually in the buyer broker agreement that we have within our board of realtor. Am I correct?
Yeah.
Correct. Right. That's one way. And then MLS also makes provisions to pay out to the broker, to the buyer broker, most of the times, in the best of worlds.
So wait a minute. Let me hold on, Ed. So you're asking if a buyer says, "Why should I get the contract?"
Right, and the thing is, you don't have to always pay the commission, because the way we're going to structure the offer is going to be part of, basically, it's not going to come out of your pocket. It's still going to come out of the seller's pocket.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I like what you said. The key word there is how you structure it. It's how you deliver the message, right? It's how you deliver that information. I mean, at the end of the day, no one really knows who pays out the commission, right? Everyone says, hey, it's the buyer. They're the ones bringing out the check. But yeah, you sign the contracts with the seller. So technically speaking, the seller gets the money, but then has to pay out the realtor. You see what I'm saying? So no one really knows exactly who is paying.
Chicken or the egg.
Yes. Exactly. It all comes down to how you form that structure. I mean, look, if you're somebody who gets, for example, I'm just using this number, hypothetically, it's not an average, it's not the going rate or anything like that. But if you're charging someone, for example, 3%, right, you would have to justify that. You would have to say, hey, you know what? I'm going to try my best to not get you to pay for this. I'm going to try to get the sellers to pay for that. But at the end of the day, you're not going to pay the entire amount. You might be responsible for 1%. If the sellers pay 2%, you might be responsible for 1%, right? Or how do you structure it? Hey, what if I can help you, take you through the process of purchasing your home? What if I can help you save money in the end? What if I can help you save 10 grand and in the end you have to pay me 2 grand? Would you be okay walking away with an extra $8,000 because you hired me? It's how you structure it. It's how you do it.
And sometimes it's not even the money, because in some pockets of our market, there is no money to be saved. The point would be to get the house in the best terms possible. And price being one of them is not the only term, right? And that's how I would present it, because right now with overbidding and properties flying off the shelves in some areas, I would just put it differently. It's to get you what you want, right?
Yeah, I mean, you're not always going to save. I mean, I had a situation where someone hired me, and at the end of the day, they ended up paying more than what they were asking for in the property. But what was the obstacle there? They really loved the place, and there was already an offer that was accepted. So I had to make it clear to them that in order for them to take this off the table and to take it away from the other buyers, you would have to come in at asking, if not over asking. And sure enough, they went over asking. And it wasn't breaking the bank, and it wasn't a ridiculous amount. I made it clear to them, listen, if you went up X amount of dollars, you would still be okay. This apartment is still worth it. They went up, they overpaid, but they got the property.
Right. So I think the main objection that we would get mainly would be a pre-qualifying, having their pre-approval, even though most of buyers would know in this market they should, but you still have it, or people don't have their paperwork in order, which when working with agents, it still baffles me, because I'm going through office situations right now where the agents, especially working with co-ops, just bring me a pre-approval. And I'm like, what?
So in our market, not to cut you off, Gigi, but I agree with you 1,000%. In our market, we are inundated with a lot of co-ops, right? So we know that there are certain rules, certain restrictions, certain, they and I hate to say it this way, they pretty much need the person's blood type, by the time, it's intrusive. We get it, right? So I always say this to buyers, and I say this to agents that, you know, as a listing agent, I always say this from the beginning of any offer. If they're not presenting everything to me, be as transparent as possible, because we're going to go through this for 3 to 4 months. Okay. I need you to be transparent with your buyer and let me know what's going on so that we can actually, you know, get this deal done as quick as possible. And the same thing I do with my buyers as well. Be as transparent with your information or your financial information so that we can move forward and go from there, right? Now, what happens is that you and I are offline. We're talking about a deal that I'm actually was doing or I'm dealing with right now. And it's young buyers who just graduated, just started a job during this pandemic, not earning as much money, but for some way, somehow, some incredible reason, they all of a sudden got a $300,000 loan. Right, you know, with an incredible deal and I'm like, how in the world did they get this? So this goes back to the point of, you know what, would they be okay if I had my lender vet them, or would they be okay, you know, if I actually spoke to them myself? It's like, because there's a lot of agents out there who really don't know how to vet their own buyers,
right?
And we need to get to that level as well. So when a buyer says, why do I need a buyer pre-approval, or why do I need to go through your lender? It's because, one, you don't have to go through my lender. My lender is just going to ask you a couple of questions in order to make sure that you are ready and motivated to move forward. That's all. You don't have to use them. They just want to make sure that you are ready and motivated, and also able, because every seller out there wants somebody who is able to buy one. Right. So therefore, it's really for that. And then after a while, once they understand that, they move forward. You know, they move forward and speak to somebody. They can use anybody they want.
Yeah.
No,
what about the objection of, I want to offer, let's say it's a $500,000 house in the heart of Nassau County, where you have only 2 houses in the whole town. And they're telling you, I want to offer 10% less than asking. What do you?
Let's go.
Even though after, let's go out. I don't want to work with you. Let's go make that life.
I'll chime in real quick. I'll chime in on this in the sense that let's just do it, because my theory on this in the years and all this, guiding them to a price. You know, if you're not going to show them CMAs and whatever, and you're one of those, like, let's just get this offer in already because it's a quick market. Let's just put the offer in, because we don't know what the seller is thinking. We don't know what the seller's conditions are. So if they say, sure, we'll take the 10%, or sure, we'll take it at half of that, which is 5%, then fine, you've made your deal. But at least you put an offer in to show how serious you are about the home. We don't ever know how many other offers are out there. So if you have a 10%, that's fine. Now, if they say they want to put in 50% low, whoa. Put on the emergency brakes and start drifting the right way, because you necessarily, you know, so I need to start educating them. Well, this is not the right price. This is the right price we should go for. But 10%, let's go. Come on. Give me all the paperwork. Let's just move forward. Let's see how motivated the seller really is from there.
What about you, Ed?
I would look at them and then say, did you see that line at the open house that we were on? You know, like, do you really want to submit an offer at that? Now, I would want to gauge it. I agree with you, Israel, but at the same time, if you're working with them, and if let's say that is your market, Long Island's hot. If that is your market, or if you're working with someone who's interested in the Long Island area, I would highly recommend so you come together. Why? You can then let the buyer know, hey, look, this house is on the market. What do you think? Can I put 10% below asking? I'll be honest with you, there's a couple of properties on the market, not a lot. So, and a lot of them are priced a little lower, but they're already going through offers. They're getting offers. They're getting accepted. These properties are pending. This is where the market's heading. Are you sure that's what you want to do? I would highly recommend being a little more strategic. Is that the best and highest? You know?
So
and sometimes they just ask me a second time, they might actually increase.
This come to a statement that just came to as maybe not a revelation, but, you know, since I don't work with buyers like that, would it be wise to, when you pre-qualify those buyers in this current market, seeing what we've seen, if we go to open house and there is a line down the block and 200 people go see a house in one afternoon, would it be wise to, when you sit down with this buyer and go through the pre-qualification and making sure they're ready, would it be wise to ask them, we're going to go see a house, would you be willing to pay over asking price in order to get this house? Would you ask that question?
I wouldn't probably ask him like that. I probably would ask him, how much do you like it? How much do you like the
this house checks all the boxes of your needs and wants.
How much are you willing to let it go?
Listen.
Right.
Are we on the buyer's end? Is this the buyer's end?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's us.
I would tell them if it checks everything off.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in a hot market. It's the seller's market. Properties are flying off the shelf. People are overbidding. If it checks off everything on your list, don't play around with it. Submit your best and highest. If you can submit asking. If not, go a little over just to make your offer more enticing. If it's priced right. And again, you have to make sure that you check the market. And if you're making these recommendations, technically speaking, you're supposed to be their buyer's agent, their exclusive buyer's agent. If you're over here trying to give them the numbers and let them know, hey, I don't, financially, I think this is a good number. So just keep that in mind. If you're doing that, you should have an exclusive agreement with that person. If you
One
don't,
last question. With all this said and done, when would you let a buyer fly off to the wind after, knowing that you've prepped them, they've seen the market, and they still bring you low offers, low ball that are getting nowhere? When do you cut off that cord? When do you say, look, I'm so sorry, it's not going to work? Do you even say it?
I do.
I know it's a hard question to ask.
I don't know who wants to answer this, but pretty much I'll start. And the best way I look at it is this. You as an agent, you can get fired, so why not fire your buyer?
Oh, okay.
Right? So you as an agent, you can get fired for, whatever nonsense or whatever unproductive stuff that these, buyers and sellers are not feeling comfortable with. So why not do the same thing for your buyer? Why not do the same thing in the sense that if they're unrealistic with the numbers, they're unrealistic with their expectations, right? Then go ahead. Go ahead and fire them. Now, here's another thing that I use when you have a buyer who actually is, in that sense, and we're not finding the right ones. And what I use is this, I guess we're at the stage right now that we need to either increase the value of the home that you're looking for or change your expectations.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Either or.
I like that.
And if at that time, if it doesn't meet, right, if it doesn't gel well, if it doesn't really come to the point of us actually being at the point of actually finding that right home and it's too much of a fantasy home, then yeah, I'm going to fire you because I'll work with you when I can. Because I'm going to have to keep working with somebody who's really weak.
Yeah.
What about you, Ed? Let's finish off with this.
I think as you go through the process, you have to understand, and like Israel said, you have to understand the value that you bring to the table. All right. Understand that if these properties are actually priced right and the buyer you're working with is being ridiculous, then you should take that step and show them. I think when you present numbers, it's like I always refer back to it. Right? Jay-Z said it: men lie, women lie, but the numbers don't. You know what I mean? So if I'm presenting
the great
numbers,
philosopher Jay-Z
then
said,
you really can't argue with that.
Yeah.
Right?
You're right.
So you can't really argue with that. But at the end of the day, you have to present the value. You have to bring it to the table. And if they're being absurd, yeah, I agree. Like Israel said, fire them. You're the one driving to these properties to show it to them. You're taking time out of your day. You have to understand that you bring value to the table too. If you're married, if you have kids, even if you have a girlfriend, okay, you have to set time aside. You're taking time away from them to go and show this person a property. So you have to go with that value and you have to present yourself with that value. If you don't do that, people are going to walk all over you.
And then, so that brings us to the conclusion that, guys, working with buyers, and this is my take on this one, you must qualify them thoroughly. You must have to go through those questions to ensure that you're not wasting your time because you have a family. I'm going to throw a little bomb on this one to the world to know. Israel got engaged a couple of days ago.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Congratulations.
I'm like, what bomb? What are you talking about? Awesome, man.
I didn't even
Congratulations,
see
brother. I know,
Yeah.
man. I remember when we were talking about this, man. This is awesome. I'm happy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, no, but seriously, guys, seriously, I think so. It's all in your preparation work.
Absolutely.
You will avoid a lot of problems, and that you will be able to make the decision whether or not you want to work with that buyer, and that alleviate a lot of things. Yes.
Right, and as you grow, whether you're seasoned or not, but as you grow, you start growing what you considered your minimum standards. You start growing your particular standards of what you want as a buyer, who are going to be your type of niche of buyers. Either they're going to be a first-time homeowners, or are they going to be just the investors, or are they going to be, you're going to start growing that kind of niche of clientele. So it's good to know that. It's good to know how you're going to work with those kind of buyers.
Right.
Thank you, Susan. Thank you.
I just had to throw it out to the world. This is great.
It's okay. Thank you. Thank you so much.
It's just like I was so happy. I shed my tear, my eye personally tear when it's like overjoyed with emotion. But you deserve it. I'm really, really happy for the both of you. And this is going to be
100%, man. I wish you guys the best.
So next week,
it's a fun and interesting journey, but you're gonna kill it. Bro.
Thank you, man.
Next week, we're going to discuss the art of running a successful open house.
Ooh.
Right, from prep to the open house, to following up and making sure it goes somewhere and we get a buyer or we get other things moving for that seller or for yourself. Yeah. Got that, guys? And if any of you,
I like that. How to really prepare.
Yeah, if any of you are interested in actually discussing partnering up with us, I would really appreciate it. We're looking for a few good people for our Vincent Koo team, right? Ed, Israel, you're also looking to partner up with a few good people.
Yeah. I'm always looking for to partner up.
Yes.
So please, yeah. Go ahead.
Just wanted to throw it out there. I'm looking to expand into the Spanish community. I know we are extending our footprint, and I know we're hitting up South America. I am not Colombian, I am Ecuadorian, but we are neighbors, and I am excited to see that it's making its way to South America. So yes, I'm looking to try to increase that Spanish population out there in Colombia. So if you know anybody that is interested and looking to practice more real estate and join the ever-growing EXP globalization, let me know.
Cool. On this, guys, let's until next week on Friday.
Next week.
Right. And congratulations again, Israel.
Thank you so much.
See you guys soon.
Congrats, Israel. Congrats.